In the past 15 days, over 47,000 people searched online why heart attacks and strokes happen most frequently in the morning. And the answer they found left them deeply concerned. According to data published by the American Heart Association, the majority of serious cardiac events occur within the first 3 hours after waking up. But that is not the most alarming part. The most alarming part is that there are 4 morning habits that millions of people repeat every single day, fully convinced they are normal or even healthy, and they could be multiplying that risk without realizing it. Today, you're going to learn exactly what those 4 mistakes are, why cardiologists consider them dangerous, and what simple changes you can make starting tomorrow morning to protect your heart. What you're about to hear in this video is not based on opinions or social media trends. These are warnings backed by research published in journals such as The Lancet, the European Heart Journal, and studies from the National Heart Institute. For decades, cardiologists have studied why mornings are the most vulnerable time for the cardiovascular system, and the findings are consistent. While we sleep, the body enters a deep state of recovery where blood pressure drops, the heartbeat slows down, and the cardiovascular system operates in energy-saving mode. But the very instant we open our eyes, everything shifts abruptly. The body activates its alert system. The heart rate increases, blood pressure rises naturally, and the blood becomes thicker. In a healthy person, the body handles this transition without any issues. The real danger appears when we add habits that overload the heart on top of that natural vulnerability, and that is exactly what we are about to explore. We're going to go through the 4 habits in order from least to greatest impact. But stay until the end because habit number 4 is the one cardiologists consider the most silent and dangerous of all, and most people over 50 do it every single morning without even realizing it. Habit 4, getting out of bed too quickly. Think about this for a moment. The alarm goes off, and within seconds you're already on your feet. Sometimes you barely notice how fast you go from lying down to walking toward the bathroom or the kitchen. It seems completely harmless, something everyone does without thinking. But for your heart, that sudden movement can act like a small shock. And here is why. When you stand up abruptly, your body has to adjust to gravity within seconds. The blood, which was distributed horizontally while you were sleeping, suddenly drops toward your legs. The heart, still coming out of rest mode, is forced to pump much harder to compensate for that drop and maintain blood flow to the brain. In a young, healthy person, that compensation happens almost imperceptibly. But after age 50 and especially after 60, the arteries tend to be stiffer, and that adjustment becomes much slower and much more demanding for the cardiovascular system. What most people do not know is that this abrupt transition can generate sudden spikes in blood pressure. And we're not just talking about having consistently high blood pressure, which is already a serious problem on its own. Cardiologists warn that abrupt blood pressure swings, those spikes that occur within seconds, can be equally or even more dangerous than chronic hypertension. A study published in the European Heart Journal found that sharp morning blood pressure changes are associated with a higher risk of cardiovascular events in older adults. And the clearest warning sign is one you have probably experienced at some point. You get up quickly from bed and suddenly feel dizzy, unsteady, or as if your vision goes dark for a split second. That is not simply something that comes with age. It is your body telling you that the transition was too fast and it could not adapt in time. The good news is that fixing this is extremely simple. Before standing up, sit on the edge of the bed for 1 or 2 minutes. Rotate your feet in circles, open and close your toes, gently stretch your legs. Take 4 or 5 slow, deep breaths. This small routine gives your cardiovascular system the time it needs to adjust gradually, without sudden stress, and it significantly reduces the strain on your heart during the most vulnerable moment of the day. But the next habit involves something that most people consider absolutely sacred in their morning routine, and it may be putting extra strain on your heart without you even suspecting it. If this kind of evidence-based content is useful to you, now is the perfect time to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Every week, we publish information that can make a real difference in your health. Habit 3. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach as your first action. This is something millions of people do every morning without thinking twice. You wake up, go straight to the kitchen, prepare a strong cup of coffee, and drink it on a completely empty stomach, often before even having a single glass of water. For many people, it is almost a sacred ritual, something they consider an essential part of starting the day right. But after age 50, and especially if you already have high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, or a history of heart problems, this habit could be placing unnecessary pressure on your heart, precisely at the moment when it is already most vulnerable. And the explanation has a very clear physiological basis. When you wake up, cortisol levels, the primary stress hormone, are already naturally elevated. That is the mechanism your body uses to activate itself and transition out of sleep. It is completely normal. The problem arises when, at that exact moment, with cortisol already running high, you add caffeine to the system on an empty stomach. Caffeine directly stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, accelerates the heartbeat, and can trigger an additional spike in blood pressure. And because there is no food in the stomach to buffer absorption, caffeine reaches the bloodstream much faster, making its effects more intense and more abrupt. Many people experience palpitations, nervousness, or an unusual acceleration of the heart during the first hour of the day and never connect it to the way they are drinking coffee. Not to coffee itself, but to the timing and the method. And here it is important to clarify something fundamental. This is not about eliminating coffee from your life. Coffee is, according to multiple studies published in journals such as Circulation and the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, a beverage with antioxidant properties that in moderate amounts, between 2 and 3 cups per day, can be safe and even beneficial for long-term cardiovascular health. The problem is not coffee. The problem is drinking it on an empty stomach, right at the peak of the morning cortisol surge, when the heart is already working under pressure. The solution is simple and does not require you to give up anything. As soon as you wake up, before anything else, drink a large glass of water, between 250 and 350 milliliters. You can add a squeeze of lemon or a few mint leaves to make it more enjoyable. Wait 20 to 30 minutes, and then have your coffee, but accompanied by some food. A banana, a handful of almonds, a slice of whole grain bread with avocado, or plain yogurt. This small change in the order of your routine can significantly reduce morning stress on your heart. But the third habit we are about to see is going to surprise most people because nearly everyone considers it completely normal and even healthy. Habit 2. Showering with very hot or very cold water right after waking up. Be honest with yourself about this one. How do you shower in the morning? Do you turn the handle until the water is steaming hot to relax? Or do you prefer a blast of cold water to wake yourself up? Both options sound logical. Both seem harmless. But according to cardiologists, showering at extreme temperatures during the first hours of the day, especially after age 60, or if you already have high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, or any cardiac history, is one of the most dangerous mistakes people make every morning. And the reason has to do with how your circulatory system reacts to sudden temperature changes. When you wake up, your blood pressure is already rising naturally and your heart is in alert mode. If at that moment you step into the shower with very hot water, the blood vessels dilate suddenly. That abrupt dilation can cause blood pressure to drop sharply, and the heart has to speed up to compensate for that variation. In older individuals whose arteries are stiffer or who may have atherosclerotic plaques, that compensation may not be sufficient, and the result can be a dangerous reduction in blood flow to the brain or to the heart itself. But if you do the opposite and use very cold water, the effect is equally risky. Ice-cold water causes the blood vessels to constrict violently, which sends blood pressure skyrocketing. The heart receives a powerful surge of effort, and in a cardiovascular system that is already working under the natural pressure of the morning, that additional strain can be the final straw. Studies published in the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health have documented that extreme body temperature changes during the first hours of the day are associated with an increased incidence of acute cardiovascular events, including heart attacks and strokes. And there is a warning sign that many people ignore: feeling dizzy, experiencing palpitations, or sensing pressure in the chest upon stepping out of the shower. If that has happened to you, it is not something minor. It is your body reacting to thermal stress that it should not be receiving at that time of day. The correction is straightforward. The ideal shower temperature in the morning is lukewarm, between 36 and 38 degrees Celsius, approximately your body temperature. Always start with warm water, let your body adjust, and if you want to finish with slightly cooler water, do it gradually, never abruptly. This small adjustment can make an enormous difference in how your heart starts each day. And now we arrive at the habit I promised at the beginning. The most silent, the most underestimated, and the one that cardiologists say represents one of the greatest hidden risks for cardiovascular health after age 50. If this kind of evidence-based content is useful to you, now is the perfect time to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Every week we publish information that can make a real difference in your health. Habit 1. Not hydrating properly upon waking. This is the habit almost no one takes seriously, and the one cardiologists call a true silent time bomb. Answer honestly, how many glasses of water do you drink when you wake up? 1? Half? None? Many people take barely a small sip just to swallow their morning pill, and others head straight for coffee without drinking a single drop of water. And here's the problem. During the night, your body goes 6 to 8 hours without receiving any hydration. But that does not mean the body stops using water. While you sleep, you continue losing fluids through breathing, perspiration, and normal metabolic processes. This means that the moment you open your eyes in the morning, you are already dehydrated. Your blood has less water than it needs. And when blood has less water, it becomes more concentrated, thicker, and harder to circulate. The heart, which is already working under the natural morning pressure with elevated cortisol and an accelerated heartbeat, now has to pump harder to push that thicker blood through the entire circulatory system. It is like putting viscous oil in an engine that is already running at maximum demand. But there is something even more concerning. Morning dehydration does not just force the heart to work harder. It also promotes the formation of clots and thrombi, those small blood plugs that can block an artery and trigger a heart attack or a stroke. A study published in the American Journal of Medical Sciences found that blood viscosity reaches its highest levels during the first hours of the morning, and that chronic overnight dehydration is one of the contributing factors to that increase. And after age 60, this problem gets worse because the thirst mechanism loses strength with age. You could be significantly dehydrated and feel absolutely nothing. No pain, no dizziness, no obvious warning sign. But every single day, that thicker blood is demanding extra effort from your heart, silently eroding your cardiovascular health, until one day, the event no one expected finally happens. The solution, as in the previous cases, is simple and entirely within your control. As soon as you wake up, before anything else, before coffee, before the shower, before checking your phone, drink a large glass of water. You can add lemon, rosemary, or cinnamon to make it more pleasant. And throughout the rest of the morning and afternoon, maintain consistent hydration, between 1 and 2 glasses of water every 2 hours, without waiting to feel thirsty. Ideally, you should arrive at 5 or 6 in the evening already well hydrated, having consumed most of the water your body needs for the day. At night, slow down. Small sips only if you feel thirsty. This way, you keep your blood fluid and you do not disrupt your sleep by constantly getting up to use the bathroom. Now that you know the 4 morning habits that cardiologists warn are dangerous, I want you to understand something fundamental that connects everything we just covered. The human heart does not function like a machine that simply turns on and off. It is an organ that responds in real time to every signal it receives from the body and the environment. And the first hours of the day represent a unique window of vulnerability that science has extensively documented. Researchers at Harvard University analyzed records of more than 30,000 cardiovascular events and found that the incidence of acute myocardial infarction is between 40% and 50% higher during the first hours of the morning compared to the rest of the day. This phenomenon, which cardiologists call the morning peak of cardiovascular risk, is not a coincidence. It is the result of a perfect combination of physiological factors: elevated cortisol, blood pressure that rises naturally upon waking, blood that is more viscous after hours without hydration, and activation of the sympathetic nervous system. Each of these factors, on its own, represents a manageable stress for a healthy heart. But when we add habits like getting up abruptly, drinking coffee on an empty stomach, exposing ourselves to extreme temperatures in the shower, and failing to hydrate properly on top of that baseline vulnerability, we are stacking stressors one on top of another at the worst possible time. It is like building an unstable tower on a foundation that is already shaking. What makes these four habits so dangerous is not that each one of them is catastrophic on its own. It is that they accumulate. The person who jumps out of bed, goes straight to a strong black coffee on an empty stomach, steps into a scalding shower, and has not had a single glass of water has just delivered 4 consecutive hits of stress to their heart in under 30 minutes, right in the highest risk window of the day. And they have done it fully convinced that everything they did is perfectly normal. The European Society of Cardiology has published specific recommendations on the importance of modifying morning routines in patients with cardiovascular risk factors, including hypertension, diabetes, elevated cholesterol, and a family history of heart disease. Their guidelines emphasize that small adjustments in the first 30 to 60 minutes of the day can significantly reduce the burden on the cardiovascular system. And this does not apply only to people who already have a diagnosis. It applies to anyone over 50 who wants to protect their heart proactively. The key is not about making drastic changes or eliminating things you enjoy. The key is about order, gradualness, and giving your body the time it needs to adjust. A glass of water before coffee. 2 minutes sitting before standing up. Lukewarm water instead of extremes. Consistent hydration throughout the day. These are minimal adjustments, but according to the evidence, their cumulative impact on heart health can be profound. You do not need to change your entire life starting tomorrow. Begin with 1 or 2 of these adjustments this week and notice how your body responds. Consistency is what truly makes the difference in cardiovascular health. What you learned today is information that many people are unaware of, and it could benefit someone close to you. If you know someone over 50 who needs to hear this, share this video with them. And if you want to keep learning how to protect your heart, strengthen your body, and improve your quality of life after 50 with evidence-based information, you will find more content right here waiting for you. If this kind of evidence-based content is useful to you, now is the perfect time to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Every week, we publish information that can make a real difference in your health. But that's not all. I want you to know something. Watching videos like this is great. But let's be honest, you watch one today, another tomorrow, and a week from now, you can't remember what advice came from where. That's the problem. Scattered information doesn't change your health. A clear plan does. That's why I put together the After 60 protocol, a complete plain English guide covering the 28 biggest health concerns after 60. Heart, blood sugar, memory, joints, sleep, balance, energy, all of it. Every chapter follows the same simple 14-step plan. What's happening in your body, what to eat, what to avoid, a simple recipe, gentle exercises, a daily checklist, questions for your doctor, red flag warnings, and one step you can take tonight. No overwhelm, no jargon, big print, one chapter at a time. And if it doesn't help you within 30 days, full refund, no questions asked. You keep the book. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. Open one chapter tonight. Just one. That's all it takes to start. Here's to more good years. See you in the next video.